Didn't ask me for no mask. Hey, no, look. I do it, but you don't look. I go like that. You don't look, and I just go like that. I go, falls for it every time. Get this one.
Wade and Carter Show is a paid programming, and KHMC Magic Money Channel assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears no responsibilities for their.
They don't take any responsibility for us.
The Astros stay alive. Congressman Michael Cloud joins us in the studio. Zamboni catches fire. We have the video, all that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
I love. Take your headphones off. I love how you go. Like Robert Ford and I talked about his voice never trailing off, and you're like, oh, that more than Wade Carter Show. It's just like that's the end of my statement.
It is. Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How's that going? How's that harumph?
I don't know what's harumphing this
I
morning.
don't know. Is this mic good?
Yeah, we're good.
Good?
We got stuff. Let's do
Good.
this.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the good folks at Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. Get by there for all your pesticide needs, seed needs, fertilizer needs, saddle, tack, cattle prods, pocket knives, all the cool stuff. Weed killer, they got it all. As predicted, there you go. Whatever you did there helped a bunch. Thanks.
Wrong mic.
How about that, Deerland Feed?
Well, it's
64
throwing me off
degrees.
today.
64 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high of 64 degrees. How about that? This is it, folks.
This is it. They ain't getting any better today.
We need Kenny Loggins. This is it. Should rain a little bit between 11 and 2. Thanks, Ash. Thanks for letting me join my show.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I feel like I will feel next week when it's you and Caleb Shaw and everybody just raves about how great Caleb is. You know,
One way to fix that.
it's a week of
Don't go on a vacation.
No, y'all, trust me, I can take the heat. Feel free to hate on me. I'll be in Cabo with T-Lab.
With the heat.
Yeah, with no kids.
Oh, where do we start today? Town halls that I didn't watch, or the Astros game that I did?
Nah, let's go to the town halls first.
Okay.
I
I
think
caught some clips.
I heard Torrin Bale's fairly objective. Torrin said that he felt Trump was somewhat ambushed by the host, that she had a tendency to interrupt him some and talk over him a little bit. There was one lady on there that was like, hello, Mr. President. Gee, you have a wonderful smile. You're so handsome when you smile. And he looked at the lady from NBC like, really? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just go up and grab her? What am I supposed to do now? He just looked at her like, he goes, well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. They were trying to set him up. You know, I don't know. But he, you know, I don't ever worry about, Donald's going to be Donald. There's going to be controversy. He's going to say, there's going to be plenty more. And I'm just saying, if it's going to be a long, long time, and then there'll be lots. I'm saying it, I'm telling you now, that's how it's going to be. That's kind of what he does. And everybody kind of goes, yeah, tell him, Donald. But
He doesn't tell him anything.
no, he didn't say anything. Then I went over to ABC and I was looking at Joe Biden, and just bless his heart. I mean, really, some of Joe's answers, you know, I mean, chickens aren't ducks and have no bones like buffalo. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Joe Biden. I'm running for Senate. Like, where does his garbage come from? Sans teleprompter, that guy's a vegetable. And you'll remember that towards the end of the Obama administration, you and I pointed out on numerous occasions that you never heard from Joe. Now, I'm convinced now that that's because Joe was involved in trying to backstab President Trump along with an orchestrated government coup. And I'm also convinced that Joe was probably in the doghouse with Barack over some of the garbage he pulled in Ukraine.
Probably.
I've heard the quote where Barack says, "Never underestimate Joe's ability to mess things up." He used the F word when he said it.
HR Mallory, good morning to you. Who was the first one in this morning? I think he was. CW Bean, Marvin Mickish still in at third. Chris Conrad, good morning. Natalie Mayer, Karen Webb, Lisa Poole, Judge Posey's in, Bobby Leister. We got two YouTubers back. Thank you, Bobby.
Two new ones, Bobby.
Rob Moore Knipling, Scott Tomko, Jeremy Pena.
Thanks, Lisa. By the way, you can like and it's free. You can subscribe to Wade and Carter on YouTube. It does help us a little bit. I mean, if you go and say, "Hey, we like that page," what do you do? Subscribe. It's free. There's no recurring bill. It just gets our viewership number up, and we'd love to get to 1,000.
That'd be nice. BJ Nelson, good morning. Lisa Poole, Andrea Koenig, Scott Tomko.
Don, so glad we heard that. Did you know, so yesterday, and folks, I live in kind of a quandary because this deal, this and y'all is time that we share together, and it's a blast. I mean, Ash and I literally love doing this. And I just have accepted, it took me a long time, and Ash told me, he said, just blow it off, man. You're going to hear stuff and just blow it off. I quit listening to the people who label us as like some right-wing extremist show or try to insinuate that all we do is support the right. I mean, I believe that I'm harder on Donald Trump on a daily basis than any other media source in this region. I don't think there's anybody else that points out his gaffes. The other day he said that he had gotten calls from hundreds of governors. Really? There's only 50, Donald?
I called him twice.
Hundreds of governors, hundreds of them have called me. From where? Guatemala? The governor of Guatemala's province? Come on, Donald. So I do that on a regular basis.
Canada has premiers, Donald. There's only 11 of them.
I don't get it that people label us, but until you realize that they don't listen to the show, like whatever that one of those lackey lacks. He was like, "Oh, I would never listen to your show because you guys talk about people and then don't give them a chance to respond." Fail every day. The phone number's right there on the bottom. So yesterday I engaged. There was something tremendously leftist, hugely leftist. Oh, I used the word hugely there. That's what it was. And so the other day it was a meme, and at the end of Donald Trump's speech, they played Macho Man by the Village People, right? And there was a picture of Anderson Cooper kind of going, ooh, like, ooh. He was kind of like, stop. So I pointed out, I said, well, the reason that Anderson Cooper has that look on his face is because he's hugely gay. And the Village People wrote the soundtrack of his life. And the next thing you know, the left is hugely gay, different than just gay. You're such a bigot. Victoria dodged a bullet because you're not mayor, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, dude, mayor, I never forgot mayor. I mean, that's not even one facet in the diamond that is me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Because if you make a joke about Anderson Cooper, then you can't fix the streets. You can't do it.
We've lost. I mean, this country's lost the ability to laugh at anything.
Yeah, there's no sense of humor left in this country.
And it's really, there's none of them left.
Because everybody's a victim. And hey, if you're a victim, then we welcome you into the Democratic Party. Come on in.
Yeah. I mean, geez, Rodney Dangerfield made a living out of laughing at all the slights in his life.
Making fun of himself.
And I mean, he would, anything that he bullied, harassed, he made fun of and made a living out of it. Now you can't laugh at anything that happens.
Who was the comedian with the long hair that talked real monotone?
Stephen Wright?
Stephen Wright. No, the other one, dark-headed guy. He's always in counseling.
That was him, Mike.
Well, at any rate, they would censor him and then get him into the Democratic Party. There's Roy Gutierrez.
Good morning, Roy. Roy. Good morning, Roy.
Oh boy, Roy. It stands for Royale. Royal.
Good morning, Roy.
El Mundo del Rey Gutierrez.
Sheriff Louderback, Patrick Strauss.
What if he was
We
a
got Mike
boxer?
McLeod coming in, but Sheriff, if you got a chance, time to call 575-9509, I just want to get your take on some of the stuff that in the clips that I watched last night that I heard Joe Biden talk about. We just need to put psychiatrists and social workers in squad cars and ride with every.
Right. No
Everybody.
officers. We just need you to put the machete down. And then the guy just lops her
To
head off.
de-escalate situations. I mean,
Well,
come
I lost my
on.
psychologist. I lost my psychologist today. I like having a dog in the car instead.
Yeah.
Crazy
It
town.
really is.
I don't picture a lot of psychologists riding around with the sheriffs in Jackson County. I mean, you'd have to move the 50 caliber for that.
So now you're going to put on the police officer or the sheriff's deputy or the constable or whoever.
Field psychology.
Now they're going to have to worry about their own life
And the life
and the life of the
psych-
social worker, the psychiatrist or psychologist in the car with them, and their partner. Where are you going to put somebody you have to arrest if you've got 3 people in the vehicle?
Good point. Just take Pat Talley. She's a lifetime social worker. The guy would probably just off himself rather than listen to that.
That's the one thing that. Have they ever asked the social workers and psychologists if they actually want to do this job that they keep saying that they need to be doing? Has the left asked any of them? Because I would think if you're a psychiatrist or a social worker and you want the job, wouldn't you just become a cop?
Exactly.
No, they don't want the job. They don't want to be called out to some crime scene at 2:30 in the morning, awoken from bed
Exactly.
to try to go talk. Imagine the scenario. You've got a house surrounded. Somebody in there has gone crazy enough to warrant a police call.
Somebody get the psychologist.
Whoever it is in the house, and I'm not going to put a gender or nothing on this.
It's a white male, Christian, hetero. He's frustrated. There's nobody else like him on the planet.
Comes running out wielding a weapon of some sort, and the first person you want to protect everybody else there in the neighborhood is a psychiatrist to try to talk them down when they come charging out of that house with a weapon in their hand.
A lightsaber. I would rather train our police officers to be conversant.
We do. They have people like that. They're moderators
There you
or
go.
mediators or both.
But Joe Biden, this idea of we're just
In a
going to,
situation like that, talking doesn't always work.
yeah, and Joe Biden didn't want to address that because all lives matter, and we've just got to reach out and take care of, especially the perpetrators. That's who we have to take care of, not the victims, not the people that are being harassed, not the hostage.
But ignore the fact that your VP running mate, who was the first one to drop out of the presidential nomination for Democrat presidential nominee because she was polling less than 1%.
Yeah, somebody pointed that out yesterday, how Biden is nowhere near as popular as Hillary was. Who was Hillary's running mate?
Tim Kaine.
See, sorry, don't remember. Whatever happened to him? Why didn't he get in the
I
mix?
don't know.
Then you've got Joe, who is
He was like vanilla pudding.
right. Joe is less than Hillary, and Kamala was the first person out the door. How do they think this is going to work?
Well,
It's not gonna
again,
work.
because this was all planned pre-COVID, when they knew they had no chance because the economy was roaring.
Yeah.
And they wanted to waste Joe in case somehow he managed to stick around for 4 more years, and putting Kamala on the VP ticket would have burned her to run for president in 2024. This was all preordained pre-COVID, and then COVID threw a wrench in the plan, and now the Dems are making deals
Yes, I agree with that.
with Biden and Harris because they won't be running things. If they somehow magically get elected or illegally get elected come November 3rd, they will not be running this show. And it's pretty evident.
Well, I think Joe
But they burned the two candidates that they wanted nowhere near the 2024 ticket because they were sure Donald Trump was going to win it all, and they didn't want to waste any of their rock stars for 2024.
You had to keep Joe in the mix because as this Ukraine, Hunter Biden, Barack Obama being involved in the Russia Gate deal with the dossier, as all that unravels, you couldn't afford to have a guy like Bernie in there who doesn't like Joe, who turns around and says, there's so much corruption, I got to fix it. Because Bernie just might try to fix it. And then all of a sudden he burns all of his political enemies. So you've got to keep Joe in the mix so that Joe can bury all the stuff when it happens.
Bernie can't fix corruption when it's the only reason he has 3 homes and a bunch of money.
No kidding.
James Kerr says he can't unring the Ukrainian bell at Benghazi. The Iceman is in. Scott Snow, good morning. H.R. Mallory.
You're right, James. We talk about that often. That Benghazi will always be on Barack Obama's watch, Joe Biden's watch, and Hillary Clinton's watch.
H.R. Mallory says Trudeau keeps calling to say the Canadian border's closed to you. How do you like me now?
Right?
It is. Close it again. Kept it closed, whatever.
You're a victim. Here's some free stuff. There you go.
CWB says it's coming down to freedom or socialism.
I agree.
Man,
I agree. I read a deal that did, I think, accurately point out people aren't voting for Joe and Kamala. They're voting for the Democratic Party, like Go Team Go, or they're voting against Trump. And Trump people aren't necessarily voting for Donald Trump because he's such a cool guy. They're voting for the results that Trump got when he made promises in 2016, and they're voting against socialism.
Yeah, and I still think a bunch are voting to with the premise that he's draining the swamp. And I think the things being revealed this week show you just how deep the swamp is and how high the swamp rose. I mean, we're talking all the way to the previous White House.
Oh, no doubt.
And I mean, the montages that are played on right-leaning TV shows and radio shows of, I never talked to my son about his business dealings.
Never.
What does my son's business dealings have to do with anything as me as vice president? I mean, the whole montage of those types of things.
He's my boy. He's my boy. It does make you wonder, honestly, if Fox is so polarizing that it's actually a tool of the left. Now, I mean that. What if? So we always think of Fox as being right-wing television. If I say which one's more right, Fox or CNN, Fox or MSNBC, Fox or the mainstream media, Fox is always the one that's leaning right. But if you notice, Fox has been on the president quite a bit lately as well. Yeah. And it makes you wonder if it's kind of a subtle anti-Trump message.
Well, then you got Wolf Blitzer going toe-to-toe with Nancy Pelosi, and then you start wondering, geez, what's going on in the world?
I think Nancy's a little taller than Wolf, but at the same time, he absolutely held his own.
Yeah. Well, she can outreach him, but he can get it. He can work inside those jabs.
Talk about holding your own and part of yours. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300.
Stretch this morning.
It was good.
Stretched it.
Let's try another one. If you want a tow that won't stretch your budget, Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Reach out to Alan Miller, Janet. We call him Little Alan, but he's a grown man. He's been doing it for years. Their team, I've seen them collaborate and disagree over the best way to upright a load. And then Little Alan always says, okay, Dad, whatever you say. And it always works out. 18-wheelers, dump trucks, Suburbans in rivers. They've got a crane. They've great equipment. It's expensive equipment.
Alan's probably seen any scenario imaginable in his career.
You remember that Alan was out there. Alan's the guy that was using a shotgun to empty beer cans on a. You remember that, right? True story. They had to get the weight out of the truck, so they just got a shotgun and shot all the beer cans and let it all run out. And they
makes sense.
Yeah. Then I think like the GBRA got on it because like the beer went into the river.
See, that's when you know Alan's paid by the job and not the hour. Because if he was paid by the hour, he would have popped every one of them.
Yeah, it would have taken hours, but he would have done it. Just to help out.
It would have been like Strange Brew.
Allen's Wrecker Service. The VCS company's Rocket Oilfield Services and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. Here's an example, folks. Just the other day, Our own Magic 95.9. We're going to move offices. They contracted with VCS to run the coax, hang the antennas, mount the antennas on the roof. There's standards, there's codes, there's ways to do these things. And the VCS companies are on top of that. That's what they do. Reach out to them if you need surround sound, stereo, home theater, security systems. Okay, if it's electronic and it needs to be communicated with or to, they can do it. Cheswick Furniture Company, 100 years in downtown Victoria.
116 West Juan Lynn, their current location. They've only been there for 70 years. So
Juan Lynn and Bridge, you'll be glad to be there. Reach out to them. And Veracruz, today's your last day of the week to eat at Veracruz. Take advantage of it. Get in there. There's no leftover caldo. It's all gone. Enchiladas, taco salads, nachos. They don't do nachos. Fajitas. Get in there. Veracruz is your place. So look,
you don't need nachos when you got chips and salsa.
here's what we need to do. I see the guy.
Okay.
Okay, number one, you don't like to keep a Navy SEAL waiting. Okay, they get anxious. They're Navy. They want to fight. They always want to fight somebody. Let's get him in here.
They're patient. They know how to lead.
They're patient. Yeah, you're right. They're patient. When you leave, look over your shoulder. He's also an expert shot at like 9,000 yards. So we'll get Bill Posey in here.
Walk in front of you.
Right.
We're good.
I'm a human shield. We'll get Bill Posey in here.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that. Is that all of these psychiatrists and social workers will become, seriously, when they're in a police car on a crime scene, is just a human shield?
For the officer.
And I don't even mean purposely. They will take the bullet from whoever the idiot storming out of the crime scene,
right,
instead of the police officer. That will be the
Maybe the officer could do where the officer puts his arm around the social worker and says, either drop your weapon or the social worker gets it.
Reverse, the reverse psychology ploy.
Kill her. I don't care. Yeah, I can see that happen. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Bill Posey,
Bill Posey joins us. How are you, sir?
Get some applause maybe for Bill Posey.
Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, it's our show. We can do it.
We can do whatever.
You're good at it. Watch this. America.
Yeah.
America. How are you, sir?
Very good.
Tell us what's going on. Just give us all the data that's worth giving data for.
We really got some good data from Margetta. Margetta is the elections administrator here in Victoria. And early voting in person yesterday, 1,984 folks showed up at the poll.
I think that's 2 less than the day before.
And it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so far to date, we've had 5,645 people show up. 10% of the voting population has showed up already.
3 days of early voting.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's what's happening.
I mean, that's typically what we get for the entire early voting period is about
Right.
10%, right?
Yeah.
10 to 20, somewhere in there?
Yes. But I mean, people have turned out. And a good thing this year, we have them not only going to Patty Dotson, but we also have them at Faith Family. So the line might be 15 minutes or 20 minutes at Patty Dotson. You go to Faith Family, and I got literally in and out in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's the lines there have been. I went yesterday around lunchtime. It was a little bit longer wait, but
You
still
didn't
a
have
whole
to
lot.
study the ballot. Did you not have to do a lot of soul searching as you went
I had a
through?
great indecision between Trump and Biden, but
Right.
I finally made a decision.
Did you see? Was there also a libertarian and an independent on there?
No, green.
Green.
Green
Okay.
Candidates.
Okay.
And you had a choice of an option
To
of
write in.
write-ins also. Now, I don't know how many people are going to do that, but there's that option.
Now, my mother said that she got a ballot in the mail and it had a list in there of write-in candidates.
Cheater.
I never saw
Yes.
a list of write-in candidates at the poll.
It was posted on the voting machines.
Oh, see, I don't
Should have
read
been.
all that. I didn't read it.
And if you go to
And I think one of their names was president.
if you go to the elections office, they'll give you that list.
That person really doesn't have much of a chance.
I
Just
would
saying.
make it a snowball chance.
Five, Barney five.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Right. Absolutely.
They have about as much chance of winning as a police officer shooting the knee of somebody rushing them
Why? Don't
with a
shoot
weapon.
to kill. If the guy's
Yeah.
coming at you with something that's not as lethal as a gun, just shoot him in the knee. Joe Biden. Tell us what's going on in your world, sir. What are you planning on
We
doing?
have a caravan. We can't call it a parade because it's not officially sanctioned, because there's no parades in Victoria County right now. We
Right.
have a caravan leaving from the community center tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
I'll be there.
And we're going to go, I think the total route is about 20 miles up and through all of Victoria, the city mainly, to show our support of the president and to get out the vote.
So, folks, this is akin to when you see all these boat parades and people waving their Trump flags and all that. Tomorrow is a great day to be at the community center before 10 o'clock and just get in line and drive and honk your horn and act like a teenager. That's what we're going to do. We're going to promote the vote.
Cruise up and down Main Street.
And just, with our windows down, the AC on high, the radio turned up, smoke a cigarette if you got it. We don't care. And just, whoa, go America, go America.
Blast your buddy Holly and the Crickets.
Right. Plan on it.
Your 57 Chevy.
Absolutely. We're looking for a big crowd and make sure we're putting flags and signs on our car. So it should be a lot of fun.
Are you using paper plates? 'Cause I've seen that done.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Plastic. Paper or plastic.
I mean,
let's go for the plastic.
There'll be somebody there with a wrap from Compadre's Design. The whole buggy will be wrapped with Donald's face or something.
Well, have you seen James Curse? Veteran tribute vehicle?
Can't wait to see it. I can't wait to
I don't know
see
if that'll be in there tomorrow, but
What
it'd
if
be nice to
you
see
did a
it.
car with Donald's comb over, and when you drove, it flipped back and just waved his hair waving in the back, like if he was on a boat? That would be good, right? I mean,
that'd be fabulous.
That would be fabulous.
That'd be
Glam,
fabulous.
glam, fabulous.
We're looking forward to it. And I think we'll have we have people coming from DeWitt, Lavaca, all the different counties because they haven't put on anything because they don't have the population
Sure.
that we have. So we're the power. We're the 800-pound gorilla in South Texas here.
Awesome. And also after that, 10-ish to 10 o'clock, I think, is in the Field of Honors.
Yes.
So that'd be good for the kids to see.
And we're ending up at the Field of Honor.
Fantastic.
That's our final destination. So we're really looking for a good turnout.
Adam Schugert, an unashamed member of your fan club, says, how about them astronauts? And I see, he thinks he's making fun of the Houston Astros, but what you're really talking about is that our SEAL friend rescued astronauts in the Pacific Ocean with vomit in his face mask. We love you for that. The man who's always got one more war left in him, he's ready to go at a moment's notice. Amen. Tell us about some news here that's going to be happening for you personally.
I'm going to come in and be a warm-up act for you guys starting the 2nd of November, and we're really looking forward to that.
The bar is very low. I mean, please get up in the morning,
Step over that bar.
drink some decaf. Don't get too wound up because it puts a lot of pressure on us.
And we're looking forward to it. And mainly, just like your show, a lot of political talk and looking at your favorite newspaper, The Advocate.
Right.
We'll be discussing that on a daily basis.
Love it.
So we're really looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Stealing all our material.
Right.
We're gonna try.
Then we could go as heard on the SEAL Hour. Yeah, we got it. Hey, we love you, sir. Appreciate everything you do.
I've got a name for your show.
Yes, sir.
SEAL Team 630.
I like that. I do like that.
With my rotund figure, I try not to refer to SEALs because I don't want to embarrass you.
Right. He's graduated.
Retired SEAL Team 630.
He's now a walrus. He's graduated.
We'll see y'all
It's
later.
like going from a cub to a weebelow, Now I'm a walrus. Hey, you be well. We love you, sir.
Or a manatee.
It's great to have Bill Posey available. It's just so many stories. So good. There's no way that the congressman's in the lobby unattached.
Yes.
Hey, Mark.
Quick update on our Astros last night. They win 4-3, 3-2?
4-3.
4-3, that's right, yeah.
Wait,
It was.
5-4.
No, it was 4-3. 3-3 going in ninth.
Correct. Carlos Correa.
Called it. Told Dusty Baker he was going to end it. Then Altuve's walking off. Correa goes, I'm ending it here. And boy, did he deposit a shot
Hits a
to center
bomb
field.
into dead center field. And I try to, I've had
Petco
that
Park,
feeling.
it's only 396 on the fence, but that is not an easy park
No.
to hit home runs. It's right on the waterfront, a lot of wind swirling around
Yes, sir.
there. Well, on a nice day, it's a little candlestickish.
Mhm.
On a nice day, because of the wind, It's actually a little cooler in Petco Park
Interesting though that
in the
that
spring.
that feeling that the pitcher had to feel when Carlos hit that ball. Like Carlos had no doubt the moment he hit it, he was like, "Yep, gone. See you."
I had a feeling that the ninth inning was going to. I did not feel that game was going to extra innings yesterday. I had a feeling the Astros were going to win. I actually thought Bregman was going to be the hero, but I'll take Correa being the hero.
I heard something yesterday that I had not heard that eased my pain, if you will. In the playoffs, that new rule regarding extra innings does not apply.
No, that was just strictly for the 60-game regular season.
That's and I wonder if they'll carry that over to the 162. The games were long this season anyway. All of them pushing close to 4 hours.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I don't know that it will. So let's take our break.
Razor IT Solutions.
Should we do one final break now, and then we can run uninterrupted with the conversation?
Sure.
We have lots to talk about.
Razor IT Solutions. Reach out to JP Hull. He and his team will help you with analytics, encryption, understanding who's hitting your website, why they're hitting your website, where they're coming from. I've told you before, but it's uncanny. I've gone in and watched a big screen. He's almost HIPAA-like. We don't ever talk about who his clients are. He brought up a multinational firm that they do website management for, and he said, "Here's who's hitting this guy's website." And Ash, in real time, you just see China, India, Pakistan, China, India, just ding,
Russia.
ding, ding, ding. They're all, yes, oh yeah, all of them. Russia, yeah. Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Calgary, where your folks are still highly active in their cell.
They had snow in Calgary the other day.
That's
a
dumb.
front.
It's like they don't ever have summer.
No.
But Razor IT Solutions can protect you from that and help you understand why it's happening. Reach out to them. Addison Auburn Dealership since 1926, Victoria's dealer.
Chevrolet, Cadillac, Mitsubishi, Mazda, all your favorite pre-owns. Paint and body shop, great service department. So they can cover any automotive need you have, from buying your first car to the last car you may ever own and everything in between.
USA Concrete Coatings, Charlie Garcia will come out, level up, square up, clean up, and then put a nice polyurethane coating with the colored accents of your choice. You just dial 578 home. Let Charlie come out and give you an estimate. It's a one-day deal. If he's got time, you jerk it out. He does the whole thing on Saturday morning. Boom. Saturday night, you put your stuff back in.
Yep, be done in one day.
The great idea this time of year, when the mornings are a little cooler, this is a great idea. Plan a garage sale around the concrete coating people. Get your stuff out on the driveway, sell what you don't need, and then you have to put less stuff back into.
And while the garage sale is going on, Charlie can get all the work done, and there you go.
Absolutely.
Good
Uncle
idea.
Mud's Barbecue. Today's a great day for barbecue. Every day is a great day for barbecue because it's the best. Open around 11. Brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey. They've got it all. Get in there with all the side dishes. It's a great way to feed a large group. They cater well. They also package stuff. You want to feed 20, they package it well. Great for football weekends. Just people can make their own little brisket tacos, whatever. They've got it at Uncle Mud's Barbecue.
White Trash Services.
550-1826.
For all your trash collection needs in the 6-county region, including Victoria and the surrounding counties, plus Holiday Beach and Rockport,
Lake
White Trash.
McQueen, Lake Tahoe,
Reno.
Estes Park, Colorado. Reach out to BJ Nelson and her family, and they'll take care of yours. 550-1826. That's White Trash Services. No garbage left behind. Gray Barn Design. Reach out to Cheryl, 920-6803. Let her plan your next party, event, bar mitzvah, wedding, quinceañera. She does them all. Say that word.
Quinceanera.
Oh, boy. Folks, alongside the whitest host in the history of radio.
Oops.
There you go. The whitest host in the history of radio. I'm proud to work with Ash. And then Went Services.
BJ Nelson says stay tuned for some big news from White Trash
I know it's
Services.
coming. She's told us that. She said it's really big
Yeah,
news.
it's
And she
coming.
can tell us. She can't even tell us. I mean, think about it. It's probably really big.
When
Went
Facebook
Services.
censors are starting early. We mentioned Michael Cloud was in the lobby and they cut our sound and delayed our video.
There
So
you go.
this could be an interesting show on Facebook this morning.
Hopefully the sound is back. We're
Well,
hoping.
it just was.
Okay, good. Wind Services will come out. They'll help you with solar panels, battery backups, anything you need electric. You're going to add on a building. You need to rewire a building. You're building a new home, your new office building. You need to drop lines in a new garage that you built, on and on and on.
They do.
Generators, they do it all. They're a full service electrical firm. Propane connections for your generator. That's what they do. Reach out to Wind Services. They are the best. GDP Techs, our buddy Dwayne Proctor at 550-4744.
Enough said.
That's it. That's all he gets. And then, of
All
course,
right.
our friends at Compadres Design, who did this cap, who did this shirt, and are just the best of the best.
And do our
They do our
put together a
banner.
banner.
They do it all.
Do
So
our special guest backdrop, which you'll see in just a minute,
Yes.
because we have a special guest.
he is a special guest. And,
Emphasis on the guest more than the special,
yeah, well, he's
because that can be taken wrong these days.
really, like yesterday, I was very pleased to hear. I know you don't listen to the show necessarily, Congressman, but well, I mean, I know it's hard. I'm being sincere. We had Chip Roy on yesterday, and Chip was fantastic and really,
Spoke highly of
it
you,
really,
sir.
really spoke highly of how fortunate we are in this region to have you represent us.
and
and-
scolded us if we didn't reelect you.
Yes, he said, Victoria's got to reelect Michael Cloud. But he also was, he's really polished at delivering kind of the party message. I mean, he was like, if you're for this, if you're for that, then I'm the guy that needs to represent you. And I thought he did a really fine job. I mean, there were several times that Ash literally said, I've got nothing to add to that. That's thank you for sharing.
We'll bring the congressman in. Come on in.
If
Come
you
on in,
come
Michael.
in, I'll come and we'll move the video for you.
So I know you've been busy, sir. So we're glad that you could make time to join us this morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Hello, everyone.
We pull that mic right up in front of you.
Good morning.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Now we got you. We're good.
You're looking
I do not
particularly.
take bribes.
That's part of a $2.6 trillion.
That's a stimulus
That's
money.
money that was earmarked for the Kennedy Center.
Oh,
You're looking particularly buff. Have you found the congressional weight room? Is that what you're doing up there? You're working out again, aren't you?
I wish I could say that was the case. We're crisscrossing the district on a daily basis, putting a lot of miles. It's a lot of sitting down.
Did you let Mark?
I don't know.
You let Mark sleep in this morning, or
Yeah. Well, he's hard at work doing other stuff.
go ahead and tell him about how we felt slighted on this.
Yeah, we did feel slighted. I saw your latest newsletter.
Yeah. Mhm.
And a shout out to a competing radio
Yep.
station in
Yep.
there. No
Yep.
mention
Oh,
of
is
the
there?
Wade and Carter
No mention
show.
of Wade Carter.
So we're going to rectify that.
I mean,
today.
you got to.
We'll have to- I'll check on that.
You got to dance with the ones that run you. We told Alan West point blank, if it wasn't for us, he wouldn't have got elected.
Oh, yeah.
And he just laughed.
He just laughed like he took it well. We forget sometimes that when they're on the phone, they could just hang up. You know?
Especially on the statewide.
Right. They just hang up.
Yeah.
He's actually really a good sport and really, really a sharp individual.
Yeah.
Fun.
So we were at an event together Thursday, last Thursday, something along those lines. Yeah.
Right.
They all blend together these days, don't they?
They really do.
Is it a blur?
It's a lot of fun, to be honest. I mean, there's a certain part of campaigning when you're not that you miss it. Especially this year, we've all had to keep our distance and people
Right.
inside. So it's
Go to Zoom and all that fun
Right.
stuff.
So it's nice to be out and about again.
We saw you on the floor of the house though, and several times actually.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I guess we could start there because you introduced the Federal Sunset Act. Do I get the name right? Close enough?
Sunset Commission.
Okay.
Yeah. And the whole idea here is we have one in Texas. It's had bipartisan support. This is not a red or blue bill. It's a fiscal conservative bill. It's a good governance bill. But the whole idea is that we have a number of agencies. We have a number of programs. So much of our federal spending is just on autopilot. And our discretionary.
There's no
spending-
zero-based budgeting?
No, shocking. Our discretionary spending each year just gets less and less and less. Our interest is growing. It's about to surpass our military spending. And so this puts in a mechanism for us to be able to review those programs. A lot of times you'll have a member come into Congress, they'll have an idea for something they want to fix, they'll start a new program. Sometimes they don't know that there's already 30, 40 programs doing something very similar, and maybe we just need to tweak what we're already doing. Other times you'll have a program that's just was put in place to meet an urgent need or a news cycle, and it stays.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, and it stays in place for a long time. Sometimes you have another program that's in place that, for all its good intentions, just doesn't have the effect or desired outcome. And so, we have the Government Accountability Office that looks into these sort of things. And so, I mean, they've provided hundreds of recommendations, but there's no force to act on it.
Yeah.
There's no mechanism to act on those recommendations. So a Federal Sunset Commission would basically say that every agency in the federal government will have a 12-year calendar where every 12 years, every agency will be reviewed. We'll have the opportunity to either consolidate programs that are maybe doing duplicate items. You can renew some that are doing great, and then other ones might need to be canceled. So
What is that discretionary number right now? It's trillions, isn't it? I don't know. I really don't know. I know that I remember hearing the other day it was 1.9 something, and it really might have just been billion. But the person that mentioned it said, well, hey, that's almost 20% of our discretionary budget. It's something we ought to.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
No, it's 2%. Yeah, it's a huge number. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Have you seen Nancy? Is she still spinning in about Wolf Blitzer just bashing her about the face and neck the other day? Did you see that interview?
Yeah, I saw clips of it.
We feed them. We feed them. That's what she kept telling Wolf. He goes, well, Nancy, I do see these people. They're starving. They're standing on the road. They're asking for money. We feed them, Wolf. I'm ashamed of you, Wolf.
Yeah, it's tragic, and when you see that the floor of the House is being used for campaign purposes and fodder and not working to meet the American people. Last week we were up there. We had bipartisan support for a PPP extension bill. Instead, we're voting on dumb resolutions that have no authority or power or anything along those lines. And it's really one of those, you get the media to, oh, look at this shiny object, and then they don't report on the thing that's really substantive.
Yeah.
Which we had 23 Democrats sign a letter to the speaker saying, please bring this bill to the floor. We could have had some relief already. Things could have been in place. But instead, we're doing that. And just to tell you how petty this is, we're down on the floor when we vote. We're all in our masks. It's a pretty big room. And
but the air conditioning's old.
Well,
it's a little musky.
It's a pretty big room. We all have masks on. And the way we vote is we have a card, and you stick it in a box, you get yes or no. And normally we vote in series. So if you have 3-4 bills you're voting on that day, you'll vote kind of back to back to back to back. Well, they've decided now that the speaker decided we need to wipe down the House in between votes in order to keep everybody safe.
Because that's Donald Trump's fault.
Well, and to do this, though, they corral us all into the speaker lobby, which is a much smaller room.
To wipe it all
just
down.
outside of camera view so that the Clorox boys can come in and wipe down the chairs and then have us all come in. But what you see on TV is, oh, the chamber gets emptied and people come in.
They're so safe.
So that's how petty the wagging the dog has become.
Well, was there anything more evident of that than the setup for the vice presidential debate, and then following the debate, video of Kamala Harris jumping into an elevator with 8 other people? I mean, come on, really?
It is bizarre. It is interesting to me that Kamala Harris has a couple of staffers come down sick, and the media is not on her. They're not lashing out at her about what have you done,
putting them at risk and all. Yeah,
but they're all after Donald Trump because Barron got sick. I mean, the hypocrisy. We always talk about the hypocrisy of the left, but it is unfathomable some of the stuff they're doing.
Well, when you look at especially in the last couple of days, I mean, we've understood that there was events, I guess, for quite some time, and at some level, there's always going to be, even when people are trying to do it, because you bring your own personal, whatever, even when you're trying to be right on, there hasn't been a great effort at accuracy when it comes to that. But what we've seen the last couple of days with big tech silencing very legitimate news. I mean, This is, the Washington Post isn't like some
Right.
conspiracy theories.
It's not National Enquirer.
Yeah, no.
Right. So it's doing a tremendous disservice to the American people.
Well, I saw where your friend Jim Jordan put the entire transcript of that article on his congressional webpage so that people could go and click on it and read it. And I found that interesting. He's kind of like, hey, censor me.
I think the unintended consequence of Facebook and Twitter was people actually went and searched it out on alternative. They actually used the World Wide Web for what it was used for originally, instead of Facebook or Twitter to find this information. And I think it almost backfired on them a little bit, because this New York Post story seems to have a lot more traction than it might have otherwise had it just been out there without being censored.
Yeah, there's a lot that they're doing where, I mean, it's that trying to control everything.
But if there's,
and it's really backfiring. I mean, what we've seen in our cities is tragic. Well, when it comes to the riots and the lawlessness and those kind of things, what we've seen in just the bizarre nature of how everything in Congress is working right now, to where it's not really about helping the people.
Well, you mentioned something and that how, using the House and Congress as a campaign tool. I don't know if there was anything more evident than watching the Senate confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett,
right,
than to see some of these senators who are up for re-election just use it as a 30-minute platform for their campaign speech.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, they never got around to asking a question.
well,
I've got two.
and
for you.
sadly, that was improved over Kavanaugh.
Did you, what do they call it? Is it Rule 230? What is it? Okay, that is where the feedback I'm getting from doing, actually, Ash, believe it or not, a little bit of study, is that people feel that
Almost 4 years. And
y'all need to repeal that, to where the social media people, on one hand, they're saying, hey, look, we're not the press. We don't owe you an open forum. And on the other hand, they're saying, but you can't sue us.
Yeah.
They need to be subject to litigation
Right.
if they don't want to be accountable. Ash said that somebody had pointed out that we needed to nationalize them. Don't do that. Don't bring the propaganda into the House.
Well, yeah, there's a couple things here. One, we signed on to a letter. It was in the news yesterday encouraging. I'm on the oversight committee. We need to be looking into this. We need to be having a hearing on this. This is election tampering at its finest.
It could, I mean, I heard somebody make the case that this could be a violation of campaign finance laws, because it could very well be viewed as a donation.
Contribution, right? And that would exceed the limits. Yeah.
But the American people don't seem to care anymore.
Well, I think they do.
I hope so.
I really do think they do. I think there's an overwhelming, I talk to people across the country because, I'm certainly, I have a pretty good pulse on what's happening in our district. I live here and work here, everything. But
Unlike your opponent.
That's a legitimate point right there. We've made it several times.
But I call across the country to people I know, and just what are you really feeling boots on the ground there? And people are just fired up. They're sick of it. You look at the president's campaign slogan, "Drain the swamp." When he was originally running, Biden's might as well be sweeping under the rug, because all this corruption that's coming out, if you don't, the vitriol of the left at its core has a lot to do right now with sweeping.
What's really been interesting with the reaction to the Biden, all this stuff with Hunter Biden is, well, you're doing it too. They're trying to make a correlation to the president, and there's none to be made, but it's almost like our guy can do it, but your guy can't. There's no sense of morals and laws on the left anymore. It's amazing. And I guess that leads into our question. What's been your reaction to all these, to the New York Post story and everything that's come out?
We signed on to a letter urging a hearing to happen. We're looking into the 230 issue, and basically the issue there is that these big tech social media platforms, basically they're immune from being sued. They have liability protection because they consider themselves a platform. Basically, they're like, we're not controlling the content. We just provide a forum. We basically built the stage. Everybody else.
Then you
But when you block the content,
freedom of speech. Yeah. Well, and when it comes to Google Analytics, when it comes to what Facebook's, yeah, they're evaluating the content. And we went through 3 years of a Russian hoax, and nobody mentioned it. And if you think that still China, communist China, can still post on Twitter and Facebook, and I mean, all these other rogue regimes throughout.
Well, I don't recall the CEO of Twitter pleading the fifth before he went and said, "Oops, our bad" on the censoring without context. Isn't that an admission of guilt right there of what they're doing?
Well, that's one thing. See, every morning, we put our phone number on here and say, call us at any time. If you got a dissenting comment, if you don't agree with us, and we invite it. And to date, we've always been very civil and very polite to people that call, because the people that call are the most sincere of the most sincere. And they've actually got the courage to step out there and say something. Tell us, changing gears to hopefully a positive, tell us your thoughts on Amy Barrett and how she's doing, I mean, we've been blown away at like no notes. I'm just the smartest person in the room.
That was to me the telltale moments, the visual that when she was asked to show her notes and working all of that from memory, very specific cases. You have everybody up there with binders, looking through and
they can't remember the questions they want to ask her without a piece of paper. And she's expected to answer questions she doesn't know and knows the answers.
Case after case after case after case. But it's tremendous. I think everybody in the U.S. got to see. I mean, even those in the know beforehand knew that. Even those who disagreed with her knew that she was a stellar legal mind. All of America, I think, got to see that she's not only a stellar legal mind, but she's a pretty sharp person. She's a great individual.
I haven't heard her say anything to date that I viewed as partisan. I mean, her deal is, you guys make the laws, we interpret, we're not legislating from the bench,
Right.
We interpret the laws.
Right.
And I think the left has a false paranoia about Roe v. Wade. While I personally am not pro-choice, which is a shame, because the left always packages stuff in such a way that you're against choice. You're so hateful. But the idea that I personally am not pro-choice, I can tell you I know how the story ends. Roe v. Wade ain't going away. I mean, it's not going to happen. And it's not like, oh, we're putting a Catholic woman on the court and she's going to do away with a woman's right to choose. It's not going to happen. I just don't believe it's going to happen. I would be all for it. I just don't believe it's going to happen.
Well, we'll see. She's sharp. I think the case is 50 years old and science has developed a lot. So we do know a lot more now about.
Well, but science only matters to the left when science benefits the left and their platforms.
It certainly would be an interesting case to try.
And then they just make up a term, super precedent. Where the heck did this ever come from? I've took a couple law classes. Never heard the term.
Precedent. It came from Donald did it. Super president. And no, I was joking the other day because he did talk about he just calls her Amy. Oh, Amy. And it would be just like Donald to go, did you see Amy? Boy, she was hot today, wasn't she? It's hot, good looking woman. Donald Trump, love him to death. Craziness, but I think that she has comported herself perfectly.
Yeah.
Took all the heat. People got upset when, Ted Cruz asked her about her kids, and John Kennedy asked her about who does the laundry at your house, and I thought they said, oh, that's sexist, that's misogynistic. No, it just gave her a chance to express her humanity. I think she's really, you haven't had time to watch all those hearings. You've been busy.
I've seen clips of it. I missed some of those questions.
She's
well,
we appreciate it. She's really sharp. She's really sharp.
Steve Kidder asked, how do you feel about moving some Shiner kegs to the House floor between votes?
Chip Roy was 100% involved. He was talking about how proud he was to have Bernie and Kerrville and out to Lakey, but he said, I'm envious of Michael. He's got Gonzalez and Shiner, and Ash pointed out, y'all might do a better job in Congress if you had, we call it a Kavanaugh. If you had a big gray cooler with the beer and the pump up thing. He said, I'm going to get with Michael.
Is that what they call it now?
That's what we call it. We call it Kavanaugh because he drinks American beer.
Gotcha.
So we're going to get a Kavanaugh in the corner and you vote and get you a cup. He said, and Chip said, I bet more people, he was talking about the importance of voting. And he said, I think more people would probably come and vote if they could have a Shiner Hawk.
C-SPAN's ratings would go
Might
up in the
help with
second
the
hour.
proxy voting issue.
Right.
Yeah.
If
Little
you,
tip story for you. His office is 3 doors down from mine, and he has a come and take it flag outside his office. And Gonzalez, like you mentioned, it's of course in our district. So after hours, his staff had already left. Ours was still there. We felt the need to
come and take it.
come and
Well,
take
he
it.
was inviting you to do it.
Right.
Congressional hijinks.
So we did it. We availed ourselves of the flag. We already had one, of course, in our office, but
Why not have two?
why not have two? So,
It's interesting too that he points out it was after his staff had already left at like 11:30 at night. Michael's staff was down at 1:30 in the morning.
well, yeah, I mean, they were all outside doing something. They are one of the hardest working teams up there. I will tell you that.
He was really a nice guy, and I could tell. We didn't talk about this afterwards, Ash, but he was talking really, I think, from the heart about Michael. But he's been a great asset. He's doing a great job. He's a great leader. He did. I think he kind of took a stab at the fact that at least the people running against him actually live in the Austin area. So I mean, you got to admit, there's only two ways to run,
I'm
right?
a little jealous.
Unopposed and scared to death. That's the only way to run.
Right.
However, you got to admit, if you're going to tee it up every couple of years, it's best to do it with somebody that doesn't even live in the community.
Well, last time we had 4 elections in 8 months, so we're still.
I've got calluses from voting for
I
him.
mean, you know, when I was elected in the special, I said the campaign for me is going to be to do the job, and you know, hopefully people will see it. So that's been the focus.
And they have.
I do have a legitimate question. Adam Daughtry asks if about the John McCain bill that allows disabled vets to fly at 100% disabled, but the bill doesn't allow their dependent to fly with them. Is there something that you can do to fix that? Because not all disabled vets can fly by themselves.
Yeah, if you could email me, I can take a look at that bill. There's literally thousands of bills up there. So
Yeah.
we do our best to keep our.
You don't know that one?
Our info on, but
Okay.
if you could send it.
But I would think.
Michael is
that's-
way too busy to be bogged down with any one particular bill.
No, that's not the case at all. We do our best to keep our eyes on everything, but a lot of times we certainly do rely on voters letting us know.
Tell us about your team. How's your DC staff and like I have this vision that it's so and so's job to make sure that all the phone calls get returned. It's so and so's job to make sure that breaking news is brought to your attention. Maybe it's one person whose job it is to let you know, oh, there's a vote and here's what it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm totally ignorant of how your office actually works.
Yeah, we're allowed to have up to 18 staff.
Could have stopped before you got to how your
I'm
office
just
works.
honest. Ash is like, never admit that you're ignorant. They know. Our listeners know that I'm ignorant.
We're given a budget to run the office, so printer ink, computers, all that kind of stuff. We have up to 18 staff members, I think 4 part-time staff members. We can have that. There's some stipulations on how you can arrange it. Most staffs are set up. You have a ledge staff, you have a comm staff, you have, of course, the people at the front desk that are doing things, the chief of staff, then you have your district staff. Of course, you're trying to keep everybody on the same page and do everything that needs to be done.
That budget now is $4.6 billion per congressional staff office. Not really.
No, it's not.
I'm playing.
And actually, one of the first things we did was we inherited a couple offices that was spending $5,000 a month on that. So we looked at, and the county here was really good, and we worked on the corpus office on reducing that. It's just so we'd rather put money into serving the people of the district, and so that's what.
Then a nice view.
We inherited it, yeah, rather than a nice view. It was a nice view. But,
So your office is it at the Capitol? In
DC?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in Washington, you have the Capitol building, and then connected through tunnels and right across the street are 3 different legislative offices for the House. The Senate has some on their side of the Capitol as well. And yeah, so it's all connected. I mean, you can actually go from the office to the Capitol to the Library of Congress and back all through.
To the donut shop?
There is a donut shop.
To the haircut?
There is a haircut place, I think.
You don't go
I've
there?
never gone there.
Capital Barbers, it's right there.
Is it?
Just
It's like
Oh,
Zone
we're really hitting the
Yeah,
hard hitting.
we are hitting
Well,
Well, but I think it's, nobody can travel now because of COVID, so we're taking them on a virtual tour
virtual
Yeah.
tool.
of Washington DC.
And Washington DC has been shut down. I really do look forward to it being open because one of the great things is seeing families up there. And a lot of times I'd take a moment if I had a free moment in between votes and just go there and see the families. It just kind of reminds you, you want to keep fresh while you're there and never let it get you.
BJ Nelson says you have a great staff and they follow up when she calls, so that's good.
Awesome.
Question on, because last time you were in, you said there was about $1 trillion, I think, still left unspent from the last
Right.
CARES Act. And I know Nancy Pelosi has tried to paint you all and the president as not caring because you don't want to touch her next CARES Act. Is there still $1 trillion sitting there, or has that needle moved a little bit, or
By
what's?
and large, the most part of it is. And as a matter of fact, that PPP extension loan, there's 138 million or so still left in the PPP program, but the application deadline's expired, so nobody can apply for it. So it would have extended it. It would have for businesses that have been hurt, it would have been able to help keep employees on. And it's sad to see, again, the last supposed COVID fix bill that the speaker introduced included, again, federal takeover of elections and all this other stuff that was completely unrelated, all the bills that she couldn't get passed through the term, and it's just
Spending to pet project. I mean, there was a lot of pork in it, it seemed. We went through some of the stuff the other day, and we had a hard time trying to make the correlation between how a bunch of money for the Kennedy Center actually helps the American people.
it's
That bill had more fat than Nancy's liver. That's got to stop. I mean, why wouldn't you just say we're going to take $1,200 times 20 million people, and it's going to cost $240 million, and let's just pass it on? I mean, why does it have to be that? Well, we're going to do raises for the Smithsonian staff. We're going to do $300 million for refugee assimilation. Not for new citizens, but for refugees. Some of that stuff, it's just not related. And I know that, it's kind of rhetorical. I know this is what goes on in DC all the time, but it's what gives people a bad taste in their
when
mouths.
people are at home and normally people are going to work, but right now, you have people who, I talked to a business owner this week who, it was from week, he was able to get a PPP loan, but he's saying, I was 1 week away from having to close my business,
Right.
And so you have people who are in those kind of situations right now, and the speaker's toying with the floor, and that's what's devastating.
And they blame Trump because Trump doesn't want to sign off on all that pork. And I can't blame. And then the average worker's like, he's not helping us. No, he is helping you because somebody's got to pay that money back.
Well, because think about it. He then gets the blame when the deficit climbs as a result of all this spending. So he's going to get the blame one way or the other, or both ways. It's unbelievable what's going on. And I was listening to a talk show host the other day talk about all the businesses that he sees every day in Washington, D.C. that are still closed up because of COVID or boarded up because of the rioting and the looting and stuff that took place. And he wondered, are these ever coming back? And nobody knows the answer to that question, but Nancy Pelosi certainly isn't helping when she doesn't want to help the people that really need it instead of.
Well, what's interesting, you talk to real estate agents in our district and bankers. There is a migration to communities like ours from people who've been in these cities who are now seeing what the evidence of poor leadership in some of these cities and what it produces. And so they're like, I got to get my family out of here. I got to get to a place where.
Well, when Minneapolis's only answer to pay for the cleanup of the violence is then to tax those business owners whose businesses no longer exist. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't you pick on Ilhan. Don't you do it. We don't like that. We always ask you, how's your family? How's everybody?
Family's doing great. Of course, October for us is always a lot of fun. Everybody running in different directions with school and campaign, and my wife still works at BISD, and so. But everybody's doing healthy. People text us all the time. Hey, we're praying for you all. So appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Everybody's everybody's doing.
Well, we feel with our, as much as our noses to the ground, if you will, or ears to the ground, I don't know, I'm mixing my metaphors, but I'll tell you that we feel you have outrageous support in the region. And everybody that I talk to that has an opinion always has a reason. Did you hear him on this? Did you hear what Michael said about that? So I think that your approachability has helped a lot of people engage in the process. And as always, you know, we're fans, and we appreciate everything you do. And I can tell you folks from visiting with Michael off air, this deal hasn't changed him a bit, except make him more committed to serving you. Michael is the same. I was going to say knucklehead. Michael is the same.
No, that's us.
He's the same great. He's the same great guy that he was when you elected him, and unaffected. And I do think he's a millionaire by now. He surely has to be in Congress. But he's doing a great job, right? Can't you?
You'd be a billionaire by now.
How old's your oldest now?
14.
He
can't sit on a board
in Ukraine. Get that kid a gig.
I mean, that'll slide under the radar because you're a congressman, not the VP.
You're slacking as a parent. That kid ought to be on the board.
Any concern about, you know, Justin Trudeau's latest announcement that we're keeping the border closed to you dirty Americans?
Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada.
Hey.
Not that it matters, but I just thought
Because our Canadian listeners say if only the border would open, there'd be a major migration of Canadians,
right.
probably to Texas. They want to come to curl. So
See, then we can have UHV's curling team.
But no, I mean, there's a legitimate question because that caused a flap amongst a lot of my Canadian family and friends, and you know, I don't know if the president takes that closure as serious, or does that change things up from your perspective?
I have a feeling that has a lot to do with, you know, in 2-3 weeks from now, we'll be in a different environment and things will be different.
Adam Sheard said that he's heard your son's got a gig waiting at the port of Port Lavaca. That's just not right.
Funny, but it's not
Adam,
right.
that's not right. Well, so tell us this. People are always interested. They always say, find out what he's doing next. What's his schedule? Where are you traveling today? Are you you're home for a while?
I'm actually going to go help Chip out tonight.
All right.
Yeah. So we've been traveling. I'm going to go visit him for a bit, and but then I was on the road till 10 last night. So, and we'll just keep traveling around.
Please
I
tell
have the schedule in front of me. So
tell Mr. Roy.
Days at a city or 2 or 3 or 4.
Please do pass along that we very much enjoyed having him on. I thought he was a great guest. We got a lot of feedback yesterday from what a plain speaking guy. And
You can't see the dashes on the white line anymore on the road. It's just all one long continuous line, right?
Yeah.
With all the miles you're putting on.
Yeah, we put in a lot of miles. That's for sure. But
Your 1 month old car is out of warranty already.
Right.
My car has 200,000 miles on it.
There you go.
There we go.
But it's a critical season we're in. I mean, it truly is. As goes Texas, will go to the nation. As goes the nation, goes the world right now. You know, I was in a parade in Port Lavaca over the weekend, and some lady from Cambodia came up to my wife and I, and she was telling us her story, and if I recall correctly, her parents got passed away or got taken up, and all the conflict and everything going on. But she was talking about how she made her way here as an 18-year-old, you know, from the country, and she's like, I'm here today because they talk about socialism. I've seen the effects of this. I've seen it, but it was so precious. She kept calling it, I come here to freedom country. That's how she kept calling it. I come here to freedom country.
God bless her.
We can't lose freedom country, you know, and for people like us who've been born here or closely.
That's like Ash.
To the fellow Canadians in the room.
Right.
But you know, it's so important that we don't take this for granted. You know, when we're talking about socialism, we're talking about a force that has wreaked havoc in the lives of so many people. Yeah, you know, Marxism took 100 million lives in the last. I mean, it's just.
Ash came in on the Gorbachev program. Yes, or Yeltsin. One of them. He came in under that
So
agenda.
We need to do our part to save freedom country.
Absolutely.
We really do. And I truly believe that this is, I mean, you look at the socialist nature of a lot of the world. The U.S. is the last remaining bastion of freedom, individuality, where you really have the ability to, borrow a phrase, manifest your own destiny in this country by the hard work and the determination that you put into it. And everywhere else around the world, they're trying to rely on the government to provide that for people, and it just doesn't work.
Or they're trying to find a way to get trial by jury. They're trying to find a way to actually somehow mimic our Bill of Rights. It seems to me interesting that America is a country where we could literally vote ourselves into captivity. No, really, let's go back to Pharaoh. Really, let's do that.
Yeah, I think it was Lincoln who said, and many others since then, that the only way that we would be destroyed is from within.
Yes, sir.
And that's what's so important for us to remember in times like this when we're facing the issues that we're facing. What set the U.S. apart is those three words: we the people. And the glory of the American Revolution wasn't a new government; it was a free people. And so we're a people with a government, not a government with a people.
It gets lost for a lot of people in this country, especially on the left.
But you're consistent. It's the way that you represent us, and we appreciate it very much.
We're way over time. We appreciate it, Michael. Thank you very much. I know. Look, the Hall of Famer's not so concerned. Brother Gary's chomping at the bit, though.
We're working on deficit time. We're in deficit time. We're in a deficit with Ralph. Congressman, thank you as always for coming in. It means the world, and please give us some. Ash was most offended about your newsletter not mentioning Wade